at what point in your life did you join the Freemasons?
I think it was either 67 or 68.
Oh, that early?
I was a young lawyer in Kumasi, yes. Yeah.
What prompted that?
Because members of my family were in there. Some had been in from even before I was born.
They encouraged you into it?
Well, you don't just walk in there. You are, in a way, invited.
So you've been a member since, what, 66?
67, 68, I think.
And what is your current position in that organization?
Perhaps it's the highest so far in the history of Masonry, in at least Ghana, but it could be for the whole of Africa.
Really?
Yes, in the English Constitution, yes.
Wow. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel?
Naturally, when you join anything you believe in and your peers or colleagues keep on promoting you, and naturally you begin to feel perhaps you are doing something very right.
What exactly do you do within the Freemasons?
Are you a brother?
What is it? Because we've heard claims that it's a secret cult, very strange.
It's not secret.
What can you tell us?
The wrong sense of secret. But the whole thing is character building. It's a system that would make a man appreciate or develop a sense of limits, accepting the Creator as the maker, giver of everything. You must believe in that first and foremost, and then also working on the basis of not doing to others as you wouldn't have done to you. So it's a moral.
Is it a religious society or body?
It's not religion. It's not a denominational thing, and so it's open to. You may be a Christian, you may be a Muslim, whatever. You may not belong to any of these, but once you accept there was the Creator, and that we all are brought into a life by Him to acknowledge and serve Him, and also look after each other as humans, doing unto others as you wouldn't, or as you would have done to you, and not doing unto them as you wouldn't have done to you. I think essentially this is the central point.
So no strange or very strange practices at all?
No. But there's a long history to it.
Please tell us.
Going as far back as perhaps times when even King Solomon built the temple to God.
Oh, really? There were Freemasons?
Yes. Not Freemason in the sense, but the modern aspects. And we celebrated the 300th anniversary of the Constitution I belong to. 300th anniversary, that is. But then, those who initially tried to do these things had been persecuted because they didn't really conform with, say, the religions
Some
of the
practices,
times.
okay.
And because they didn't conform, they became suspects, and that was what made them go into, if you like, secrecy, so they could continue to pursue.
So is it a secret society?
It's not a secret society. When you say secret society, immediately one gets the impression they are out there to do something. No, it's not cult at all. But now they've started coming out. So 2 months ago, we celebrated the 300th anniversary of the Grand Lodge of England in Britain, bringing 6,000 attendants from all over the world, some from America, some from Asia, Britain, Africa. We all converged and met at the Royal Albert Hall. And it was just a sight with all the regalia and music and acting, and many of the great names in history, at least in recent times, were Masons.
Were Masons?
Voltaire, Montesquieu, philosophers. There were also religious people, just as Oscar Wilde, you know of him. So
how do you draw the distinction? Meaning you're saying you're a Catholic and then you're a Mason, and does that get
I'm a Catholic, and the Pope, I think John Paul, honored me with a knighthood, Catholic knighthood. They came here to this very room from Centenary House to interview me, because before the Pope would confer such an honor on a person, they would want to know that he would be a worthy recipient. And they asked me, are you a Mason? I told them yes.
Oh.
Well, we went away. They came back, and I told them again. But the Pope, in spite of that, said, go ahead.
Honored you.
It's an open-minded thing the Pope did. So I don't think there's anything. In the past, say about 300 years ago, you know of inquisitions and in history, in Europe, people who didn't seem to conform. Some were even bent at the stake.
Yes.
Joan of Arc and all.
Yes.
So, but that's past. But currently, you've got Catholics, some Catholics in Masonry. But of course, there are still some who wouldn't touch Masonry at all, because historically, Catholics were not supposed to join this thing.
And become Masons. Interesting. You're still on Star Chat. It's getting interesting by the minute. Our guest is former President John Agyekum Kuffour. Live on Star 103.5 FM, also on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi. We are on Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady and Agyekum FM in Nkoko, as well as Cape FM and Cool FM in the Volta region. My name is Bolare. Well, I really want to know about your current relationship with Mr. Rawlings, former President Rawlings. Is he a friend?
He's a man, personally, I would have preferred being friendly with. But
you would have?
I would have preferred to be nice with him. But every now and then, somehow, he burst out saying unfounded things about me and making me feel rather awkward. So even though I feel I don't harbor any ill will towards him, I do not know his feeling towards me. But naturally, when it gets like that, you have to be careful with a person like that.
Are you worried?
Not worried, because keep it free. And
are you concerned?
For the sake of our society, naturally, I would want the relationship to be quite normal. He served his term, and I have served mine. Both of us served our country. So
you mentioned his outbursts, and of course, some of his comments, and you are not comfortable with them. Have you tried to find out from him why? And or if not, will you?
Look, he's been head of state of this country, but the longest serving head of state. He should be guided by, above all, himself. He should know what to say and what not to say. Once you get so high within our society, it's not everything you do.
Would you want to reach out to him?
For what? I keep an open mind. And I would wish he keeps a similar open mind. If he really feels there's something Kuffour has done, he rather should approach me to find out, or to establish to me that, look, I found this and that and that. What's your reaction? If I'm at fault, I would say sorry. But that's not how I'm sensing.
Did you offend him personally while in government? Anything you know?
No, I don't remember doing it.
Do you regret withdrawing his diplomatic courtesies?
You don't know what he did to me?
Tell us.
Please, don't let's go into that.
No,
we are into Christmas.
Was it payback time? You said
not payback,
to you.
not payback, but I was the sitting head of state. He was former. And the sitting, in a way, personifies the state. When you go out to some foreign land to describe your sitting head of state, incompetent, disgrace to the nation, and that sort of thing. Suppose it were his time, you think you could say that about him and come back to Ghana? From what we all know. So that was what I said, look. And it was not as if I went out to do anything. he came after such a trip, blurting out all these things, to ask that courtesies be extended. So I said, no. When you use the word courtesy, you should know that it's give and take. Next time, we withdraw so you don't do it again. That's what I thought.
So no regrets at all doing that?
No.
When offered the opportunity, would you want to ask him what you have done to him?
Occasionally, we meet at some function, we shake hands. And the wife is, in a way, a distant relative of mine from Kumasi.
So what's your relation with his wife?
These days, fine.
These days?
These days, fine.
But in the past, it wasn't?
Some time ago, there were things that really disturbed. And I expressed my displeasure in ways for her to know that she needed to go gingerly.
But these days?
Oh, now I believe we are fine.
You believe or you know?
I believe. Let me say it from my perspective.
Yes.
I hope she feels the same as I feel.
President Kuffour, share with us, what was the most outrageous rumor that you heard about yourself while president?
This is, I can't say. If you know of any, ask me and I'll tell you.
You didn't hear of any?
Look.
You heard of clearly, a number of them.
You tell me.
That you were seeing a popular female broadcaster? Did you hear of that?
President seeing a popular, like I was even wondering why we saw male here. Why did
well, I didn't bring any female.
Yeah. So that shouldn't be news.
Seeing, when I say seeing in quotes, I mean dating.
Don't be poetic with me. Talk plainly.
Yes, that you were dating.
No, there's nothing
a popular,
like
that. You didn't hear that rumor?
No.
That once the former first lady had to go and chase a lady you were traveling with to South Africa.
The former first lady?
Yes, your wife.
My wife? She wouldn't
so
do
all
it.
Those were weird and wild?
Look, when you get up there, you get all sorts of things swirling around you. But if you want to chase those things, you might go crazy. So a lot of times I just...
So you focused on the job?
The job. I've said it. If you remember, my last statement to Parliament, before I stepped aside, I said 4-year period was too short. It was like doing a sprint in athletics. When you are doing a 100-yard or 100-meter dash, you begin to look this way and that. Definitely you lose the race. Wow. So I didn't allow myself to be too affected by such things.
You're very disciplined, because to hear and rise above the noise, clearly it takes discipline and tenacity. Are you friends with President or former President John Mahama?
We are very fine with each other.
You didn't have any occasion to advise him privately?
No, the occasion didn't arise. In any case, I didn't want to also seem like wanting to ingratiate myself with the man of the moment.
Okay. No. Any of his presidential decisions that shocked you the most?
Look, I don't distinguish him from President Mills. Okay. But the one thing that really shocked me was when one fine morning I heard that they had cancelled the agreement our government had achieved with Barclays International to do the International Financial Services Center up in Ghana here. That's the offshore bank. We had taken pains to work at this thing over about 3-year period and gotten Barclays International, a bank of high repute around the world, to sign with Ghana to do such a bank here. They've done it in Mauritius, and that accounts for Mauritius' current position. So we were trying to get it for Ghana too. And we achieved it. We opened the first offices at the airport city. Then our brothers come to power. Within a year, they cancel it. And I said, what? Why this? As I sit here, I'm still puzzled by why they did it. So that one. But the others, I leave it to normal politics.
Interesting. We'll be going for a short break. But when we come back,